Yo! Hello! Daedalus, thank you for the 68 months! What in the world? That's so many months. Thank you for the good luck as well. I appreciate it. Sci-Face, what's up? Chris, what's up? Steffa, what's up? I hope you're all doing well. Kate watched the finals of this CM, and now Golshi and Degloot, great. Deserved. Praying for second place? Thanks, I really need that, yeah. That's great. That's really good. Thank you for the good luck. I need all the good luck we can get. Hopefully, we will have a good go of things in the finals. I would say in general, throughout the whole CM, have gotten pretty good luck when it's come to our matchmaking. So hopefully, when it matters most now, we will still get the good luck with the matchmaking, and we'll have an easy time in the finals, and we win, and we can be happy, and we get pulls for Marzenski. That's the goal. Pika, what's up? Ho, what's up? One of my recoveries didn't proc, but I went, let's go, congrats! Silver, what's up? Entirely Sanguine, what's up? Thank you for the good luck, everybody. I appreciate it. Alright, let's do it. Let's get into things. And then after finals, we'll either start doing some Condor Pasa stuff, which I did make a thing on the side. I did not update the other commands because I was busy and didn't get around to it, but before next stream, the parents, skills, info stuff will all be updated. We are doing L today. I did get an Ogre off stream last night. Is it good? We'll talk about that later. But for now, we get to do CM, and that'll be fun, and we'll win. Zakrita, what's up? Might summon for Hishi Amazon because she's pretty. She is very pretty. I am planning on not normal Hishi Amazon, but there's a... before we get into CM, we can look at how beautiful Amazon is. If I can get to the wiki. There's the wiki. This Amazon, the wedding Amazon, she's so beautiful. That's crazy. So I'm planning to skip normal Amazon, but when wedding Amazon comes around, as long as we have the pulls for it, we will go for it. Connection error. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Bad omen. If I could get a Hishi Amazon from the general pool when we pull on Summer Arzensky, that would be cool. That would be nice. Same, we should get an Amazon and a Sayun Sky and Marzensky all in the same 10 pull. Also, we throw Fuji in there too. Fuji would be cool too. 4 new 3 stars. That seems reasonable to ask for. Side Games will give it to me. First place 2-2 for Z. Huge. Congrats. Oh yeah, the titles actually get given out now. That's great. That's really good. Was weird that they didn't have it that way for Tourist Cup. Also, I did see, and this is YouTube content stuff for later, I've seen a few people post Gemini Cup retrospectives. I saw both Zelleranth and Nonpon did them. I think other people might have as well. I think I will probably do something similar to that as well, because it sounds like a fun idea to just talk about CM stuff for like 10 minutes or whatever. So that'll probably be up tomorrow. I'll record that either tonight before I go to sleep or tomorrow in the morning. Be one of the two. Probably tomorrow in the morning. And we'll talk about the characters, talk about the builds, talk about our win rate, talk about how much I loved seeing Gold Ship in every single race that we did. And yeah. I think I also might make a Cancer Cup guide, because I realized we were talking about a lot of Cancer Cup stuff yesterday during the account reviews, and I might as well just make that into a separate video. So I think I'm gonna throw together a PowerPoint for Cancer Cup stuff, because I was initially just gonna do a video talking about what I was planning on doing for Cancer Cup, but we might as well talk about the track itself and other characters that are good, and then completely ignore Taishin because she doesn't deserve to be talked about. Oh boy. Dimsword, what's up? Barely made it to Group B? I hope your finals go well. They need to allow multiple copies of the same ores 9 gold ships. I would quit the game. If I had to see 6 gold ships in a race, because I'm not going to run any, that would be not ideal for me. Are you going to keep doing account review today, or just focus on the Condor Pasa Parent? As long as there are people who have filled out the form who want their account reviewed today, I will prioritize that over anything except for CM Finals. So anybody who does want their account reviewed, as long as you filled out the form, we will go through those after Finals. There is a Scarlet, there's a gold ship, there is a front air groove, so McQueen can't get lucky pace. That's unfortunate. Don't like to see that. Let's look at the let's look at this. We can look at the recent race results. Look at our McQueen. Our McQueen's been gaming. The Scarlet has not won in the last 5. What does the Scarlet look like? Does have long S capped speed. Oh boy. Wait, that's a little concerning. Okay. What about the gold ships? Is this A+1? This is also capped speed spurt Rudolph unique. Okay. This is not capped speed, but does have long S to make up for it. Does have spurt. Okay. Well, you can look at this McQueen too. All right. Okay. This seems like a stronger set of builds than anything that we were really getting consistently throughout round 2. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully, hopefully we do well. If actually, let's put game music on. We can listen to CM music. Sorry, Miss Victoria. Here. Because CM's got a banging soundtrack, actually. And we will watch this in 1x, unlike all of the other races that we have watched this CM in 4x speed. Because it is the finals. Got third because no critical skills rocked. I'm so sorry. That's what I'm worried about as well, Rila. I'm worried about the spurts not happening, because you're seeing that quite a bit. Thank you for the Luxie, I appreciate it. Sky, what's up? Got third in my Group B finals. All my games got rushed? No. Congrats on at least making finals, though. Our McQueen's second favorite. Our Ogre's third favorite. Shut up, Blue, what's up? Thank you for the good luck. Alright, here we go. How does it go? Oh, Maya gets Lone Wolf activated. That's always nice to see. So the downside to this lobby is there is that front air group. So our McQueen doesn't get a lead. Which is basically what she needs to be able to win. We get an early cooldown triggered on Ogre. And our Ogre is at the front of the end closers, which is nice. Hopefully it stays that way. We don't have curvature on her, so we'll see if she holds it when we get to the curve. When we get to the big corner. I'm worried about the Scarlet. I'm worried about the Scarlet. I'm worried about the gold ships as well, both of them. Because gold ship scares me. McQueen triggers Gourmand. Okay, Ogre and McQueen trigger Maestro. Maya triggers Maestro. We haven't seen Bofa from either Ogre or Maya yet. We did see the early cooldown for Ogre. Our McQueen's going to take first here, which means Daiwa's not gonna be able to do her rocket, so that's good. There's Bofa for Maya, so Maya lives. She's not in a great position though. There's Bofa for Ogre. Okay, do we get spurts? We don't get spurts at all. But there's the McQueen. If we see the Maya, that's even better. She's pulling around on the outside. Oh! 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 There it is! Take off! Maya, go! Go catch up, Maya, you can do it! Do we 1, 2, 3 the finals? Can we do it? That's awesome! Oh, that feels good. Nice! And Maya actually took second! In a race again! Let's go, Maya! That's crazy that nobody triggered Spurt. I'm glad that in this situation where we don't trigger it, at least none of the gold ships did either. Very good CM for us. I'm really happy. Ogre pulls off another win. She did very well. Our both Ogre and McQueen, actually, this entire CM really pulled their weight. I'm very surprised at how well the McQueen did, because we weren't expecting her to perform that well at all. I'm so happy the CM is over. Even though we had a great time with the CM, I know a lot of people really struggled with this CM. had a much more chill time outside of just being sad that we didn't get Spurt on a good amount of the East runs that we were doing. But I am happy to not have to think about the CM anymore, because I think it's definitely one of the more stressful ones, for sure. So I did see the question, I didn't respond to it. If it's possible to save a CM run, like with the room races, I don't think it is. What I've been doing is you can replay it until the CM goes away. So what I've been doing is just off stream, going through and replaying the race and recording it locally, with game audio, without game audio, a whole bunch of different audio settings, doing it in vertical, all that kind of stuff, just so that I have it archived in case I want to use it for anything in the future. Unfortunately, there's not a way to save it in game though. Cool. Oh, we can change title now as well to Gemini. The title of the month, I guess. Minoru, what's up? We did get first. We did get first. It was really good. That was domination. We did really well. I'm actually surprised because the gold chip and the Diva Scarlet were actually pretty well built. So I'm glad that we held our own. Also, everybody else who came in at the end of the race. Ranfear, Nguyen, Shape Tick, Samara, I hope you're all doing well. I got caught up in the end of the race and the afterglow. CMs don't have concerts, not yet. Later on, which is actually the song that we had playing before we turned game audio on. Later on, there's a song called Miss Victoria, which I will play now. I'll just set it back to the start. This song is the CM concert song. It's a really hype concert as well. They've got like pyrotechnics and everything. It's a great song, and it feels really good when you win. And they do like text at the start of the concert showing everybody's names or whatever, and then you see the first place in your UMA, and it's hype. It's really cool. I don't know when it gets added, because it was added before I started playing on JP. But hopefully, because we've won both the CMs so far, hopefully when it does get added, we'll actually win that one too, or I'm gonna be very sad. Another year and a half. It was 1.5, Annie? Oh my god. I started like 2 months after 1.5, Annie. One more month without platinum title? Next month. Next month is yours. Yes, we can do account reviews now. So we have there are quite a few people here who did fill out the form. We can go through everybody. Hopefully. And then we have also before we start, because I'm gonna start on L parent stuff probably tonight off stream. I did an Ogre run yesterday and got this, which is not great because it basically doesn't have any of the white sparks that we wanted to see except for standard and wet. But it's 2 speed, 3 mile, and I think I'm just gonna take it. I think we're just gonna take this because it's the 3-star mile, and 2 speed is fine. And at least we get some groundwork from the grandparents, and Hopefully we will hit it on L. But I think I'm gonna move to L. I did try it once. Ignore the sparks. But the good thing is, because this is part of the reason I wanted to move to this at least. If we look at Falco, which is who this will be for, if we take the L and use this say, which is the one that gets us to A turf, we do hit double circle affinity, which is one of the things I was worried about. So when we do actually get a good L that has the sparks that we want, we'll have double circle affinity, assuming that we don't have terrible G1 luck during that career. So I feel like we're in a good spot. We're moving in a good direction. I think what I'm probably gonna do is, for the L stuff, because we have to use a borrow for it, because I'm borrowing this bourbon, which this bourbon is incredible, by the way, as a Falco grandparent. It's 3-star stamp, 3-star turf, 3-star groundwork. It has front straights, it has PTO. And then it's 7 groundwork total from the grandparents as well. It's really nice. Since we have to borrow this, I'm gonna dedicate all of my borrows to doing L stuff. When I'm out of borrows, we're gonna go back and retrain the Ogre, probably, and just use our, Maya and Suzuka. I don't know where they are, somewhere in here, but I will keep doing Ogre stuff without borrows to try and get groundwork on her, at least, with the TP that I do have. But I think it's smart to start spending borrows on the bourbon. I can give the ID for the bourbon. There is a chance it is full and also potentially in high demand. So it was posted in the unofficial community UMA server. And I managed to get a slot because they were clearing stuff every now and then. And I like managed to sneak a slot in because there were like 10 people who had asked to get pinged when the slots opened up. And the slots went away over the course of like 5 minutes. It was a very short window. I think they are still, like, every now and then clearing anybody who has been inactive for over 24 hours. But, the slots were filling pretty quickly. Let me make sure this is the right ID. I think it is this one. And then I'll throw it in chats. Yeah. This is the ID for it. But it is a very good grandparent for Falco's stuff. I think they do add more ways of filtering stuff in the future. I know, one thing that does get added is it lets you specify sparks on a grandparent as well. When you're filtering stuff. But there's other stuff as well. Would be cool if we could get that earlier. Also, okay, oh, yes, I did just see, the Victoria Frontier video on the Chronogenesis database earlier today. I haven't looked at the site at all yet. That is something I will look at tonight, though. I saw that video when I was eating lunch. It gave me something to watch. Now we can get cracking on account reviews. Out of, who is here that has filled out the form from yesterday? Because we can just throw whoever is here on the wheel, and we'll go until, I get too tired to go anymore. Which hopefully won't happen until we finish everybody. Awesome, okay. So we got 6. It looks like 1, 2, can I count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. I can't count. Numbers are hard. Let me also grab a bottle of water real quick. I need advice on pulling better. I only pity, spend more money. I don't think that solves the problem. I wish I had ideas for getting good luck. Also, on the topic of good luck, which is not pull luck, 3 out of my last 4 careers have hit Hot Spring Ticket. I've done 2 Ogre careers and 2 L careers. I hit Hot Spring Ticket on one of the Ogre careers. I hit Hot Spring Ticket on one of the L careers. Failed Arimakinen. Lost it. And then the L that I just showed also ended up hitting Hot Spring Ticket. So that was nice to get back-to-back L careers that had Hot Spring Ticket after losing one of them. I think I've hit a Hot Spring Ticket on Ogre like 4 times now. As well. Is B Turf good on Falco? I have not looked at it. A seems nicer. For sure. I'm worried about the acceleration at the start. Just trying to get in a good position. If you have B Turf, the lower acceleration might hurt, and if you don't get into first, then you don't get the unique on the mid-race straight. And not getting the unique off definitely hurts. Also, oh, let me pull up the form itself, because I don't have that up, because I am dumb. I pulled the wheel up, but not the actual form. Okay, I got the form and the wheel up. And the wheel has been updated. So it's just people who are here today. And then if anybody else comes, we can update it as it goes. Past 3 runs, I've had no hints at all the entire career. Oh my god. I have not had it that bad. I'm dumb. One of the rare good takes. I have good takes. I have really good takes most of the time. The majority of the time, I think I have good takes. Some, I hope. Alright, let's spin it. Oh? Alright. Sweet. Let me, get off my account, too. How does... Oh, there we go. Perfect. Also, you were the first to fill out the form, actually. That's wild. At least I think the responses are sorted in the order that they came in. Also, let me switch scene here. Alright, we're in! I keep losing... I keep losing track of where the form is, because whenever you switch accounts, it opens up the user agreements again, and it just opens it in extra tabs in front of where the form is. And then I'm like, oh wait, where did it go? Current goals are to build and improve team trials team, save for a specific support card, advice for a specific character, would love to have known how I could improve my Taishin for Gemini Cup. Awesome, okay. Some general CM stuff would be grand. Thinking of Suzuka Seiyun front, not sure for the third. Could even go over highest rated Taishins. 2 highest rated Taishins, sweet, awesome. Let's do it. Also, let me... There we go. Let's take a look. So Team Trials class is class 5, okay. I see a Maya, huge. Spev, Rudolph, Taishin, Suzuka, Oguri, Taiki, both the McQueens, Sei, huge, Falco, love Falco. No Teo is unfortunate. Unfortunate. Also, oh, I didn't mention it. I think I'm gonna run late Surger Teo for Cancer Cup. Is it a good idea? No, not at all. But I think I'm gonna do it. We haven't run Teo in a CM yet. We'll at least build her and try her in room matches and see if she does okay. And if she does, we'll run it, and if not, then I'll switch to something else. Support cards. 1 LBL, 1 LB Kawakami Princess, 3 LB Creek, huge. 2 LB Biko is awesome as well. 2 LB Kita. Big SR limit breaks. Both the stamp cards, Hishi Amazon, Biwa, Bourbon. Awesome. Sweep Tosho. The elusive Sweep Tosho. MLB King is great. Cool. Very good cards. Let's take a look at the Team Trials teams. Renteo and all the CMs so far? Nice. I have not had the courage to do it, because I've been afraid. I'm just underperforming. But I think this is the worst one to do it out of the 3. We'll see, we'll see how it goes. Because I was debating between late Ogre and doing 3 front and running Die with Scarlet. I do think it would be better to run a backliner just in case, to not like have everything on the front runners in case there's a blocker or just another really strong front runner. So I do think it would be better to have at least 1 backliner to gamble on Excel stuff. I don't really want to build Grass or Vodka, which would be the better options. So then it would have been Ogre, but if we can just throw Teo in there, get her laid up, get her Mile up. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Give her the Excel uniques, throw Furious Feet on her. I think Falco will be our top performer, but if we can have Teo in there at least, that'd be cool. And then it's 3 characters I all really like with Falco, El, and Teo. Sprint team. All right. Cotton-chan's awesome. I really like Cotton. I wish I had Cotton. Okay. Ooh. Big Scarlet. Okay. I think both of these... Yeah, I think... it is, the CMs, especially with how short the period between the two CMs have been, it's very hard to find the time to do team trial stuff, especially if you want to, like, use borrowed parents for any team trial Loomis as well, because then it's borrows that could go towards CM parent stuff or CME stuff. These two here on the mid team are low on stam, so I would look at rebuilding these two for the medium team. The Rudolph's in a better position, could still use some more stam, but she is in a better position with the HP here than the other two. The Scarlet here, if we're looking at the Mile team, it looks like the Scarlet is the strongest one out of these three. She has more stam than you need, with this stam plus the Maestro. Having the Maestro is not a bad thing, though. This is something I mentioned yesterday a few times. Having extra recovery skills that you can trigger, and even if they're overhealing or they're not necessary, isn't a bad thing, as long as you're still placing well. So as long as the Scarlet is still placing well, having an extra gold skill to trigger for Team Trials points is not bad. On the sprint front, getting the King up a bit more, because it is the lowest rating. I do think when it comes to the sprint decks, you can probably get away with doing like 3 speed plus either power cards or wit cards, and you'll probably end up seeing better results. When we do look at wit stuff, if we're looking at wit options, because I'm assuming this is one of the older ones, I cannot click on the right buttons apparently. These are both really nice. I'm a big fan of both of these wit cards, and you have them already leveled, which is really good. When it comes to a third wit card, if you did want to use a third wit, you do have these both leveled. Fuji's weaker on the stat end than Daiwa Scarlet, even at these limit breaks. So I would probably use Daiwa Scarlet. If you're trying to fit in a wit card for medium stuff somewhere, if you leveled a Tachyon more, just because she has mid corners and mid straights, you can find use there. But even then, if you are trying to fit wit on medium, you're probably only running one wit card, and in which case you can just take one of these two that are already leveled. Probably the Marve, just because Tail Held High is cheap and good, and she hints high, so you can get these cheap and buy them. And having cheap skills for team trials is always nice, because it's just skills that you can buy on the cheap, which means you buy more skills, and then you have more skills that you can trigger, and you get more points. We did not look at the long or dirt yet. Alright. This stam is very low for long. This is also something to look at. Retraining this spec to get more. Taishin's cooking though. The Taishin, and this might be low for the longer longs, but you for sure are fine on the shorter longs, and as long as you're getting a good score there, it's totally fine. Taishin looks really good here. This might be a bit low on stam for the longer mile tracks, even with the Maestro. But on the shorter ones, that's probably fine. This is low. So retraining the Taiki and getting more stam is probably a good idea as well. For mile, I've generally been running, I've generally been running 3 speed, 2 wit, 1 stam, or three speed, 1 wit, 1 stam, and borrowing Tazuna. Or I think on my Falco, I tried like 2 speed, 2 power, a wit, and Tazuna, and it worked. And she's been performing okay, and it was a really weird build, and I wouldn't recommend it, but it did work. I really like 3 speed, 1 stam, 2 wit, or 3 speed, 2 power, 1 wit for mile, and then you just get your stam up high enough through the power trainings that you do, or stam sparks as well. So those are decks I would put into consideration if you do decide to retrain any of the mile stuff. And you do have really nice power SRs, like the Hishi Amazon or the Biwa or the Bourbon, especially for front stuff. Oh, you have Nishino Flower as well. I completely missed this too. Nishino is nice as well. Especially for pace, where you can get use out of this stuff. Updrafters works as a backline mile thing as well. She hints well. She can give Charming, so she could be a nice card too. She has a lot of race bonus as well, which is particularly nice for later stuff, like Matt. You have really, really solid SRs, which is really nice. A lot of options on the SRs. We did want to look at the highest rated Taishins. Let's do that. We sort by rating. Flip it. There we go. Okay, I think, and this is the thing that is more resource intensive, but Encroaching Shadow, oh, you do have the P5 now. Encroaching Shadow is really, really good to have, yeah. in place of the Spurt, just because it is the bigger Excel. And then long S is nice as well, but none of my aces had the long S for Gemini Cup, and I do not think it was needed, and it is a pain in the ass to get long S plus the other stuff that you need from inspiration, like Spurt on unclosers, the other unclosers. But you have a good selection of skills. Stamina Eater is nice. The recoveries are very good. Does Target Insight activate? Yes, it does. If you are favorite, it'll always activate. I have used it to help make up for HP deficit while doing farming stuff, for parent stuff. The extra guts can be nice. So if you are #1 favorite, it does always trigger, and if Cancer Cup is very front-runner heavy, which it seems like it will be, it should be a somewhat consistent green to pick up for front-runners. Because the hope is either your favorite or one of the front runners is a favorite, and that it'll trigger and that you can use it for groundwork. It's less consistent, less reliable than the other ones that are just track dependent, because you know that those will always activate in case somebody does have like a well-built late surger and closer that ends up taking favorite. But with how frontrunner heavy it does seem like Cancer Cup will be, especially if you don't have access to one of the other guaranteed greens, it is definitely something worth picking up. Just so that you can have it to trigger groundwork when it does go off, which hopefully is more often than not. But yeah, I would say the big thing would have been Encroaching Shadow in place of Spurt on the Taishin. S-Long as well would have been nice. And then if you could get more speed, that's always good too, but getting around 1k speed and having enough stamina to live is what I was shooting for. So that is, especially for how hard it is to build for Gemini Cup, that is a good thing to aim for. It looks very solid. And having Stamina Eater as well was always a good thing too. I don't think I got Stamina Eater on any ace run that I did, like, ever. Every time that I got Stamina Eater, the run was abysmal. For CM stuff, you were thinking of Suzuka Seiun front. Wasn't sure about the third. Okay. We can look at options that you do have. So if you are doing 2 fronts, that's good, because you don't want to do 1, so that's 2 good fronts. Saiyan Sky is really, really good. If Saiyan Sky is in first when the Spurt starts, and she gets to trigger this, she basically just wins. Nobody should catch her. The downside to Saiyan Sky is other frontrunners, like Falco in particular is one that could be problematic, have a mid-race speed skill, a mid-race speed unique, that let them keep the lead more easily. And if Sei doesn't get to the front, she doesn't trigger her unique and she's just dead. But as long as you are able to stack mid-race skills on her, mid-race speed skills on her, so that she can consistently get and keep the lead, she's an extremely strong option. She should be one of the best front runners for CM3. If she procs it with only 9, assuming your stats are good enough. Hopefully. She should be a very strong option. So if we look at potentials as well, she gets front savvy, which is very nice because it's just a green that you have to help with groundwork. She also gets tail hold high, which is a good mid-race speed skill. She also gets escape artist, which is very good to have. You can completely ignore Vanguard Spirit. It doesn't matter. It's long and it's not very good. The other potential skills are all very nice, so if you are planning on doing Saiyan stuff, get her to P5 anyways, because you want escape artist, and then just ignore that Vanguard Spirit exists. Never consider it. All the other ones are very nice though. Tail hold high is fantastic. Frontrunner savvy is very good because the extra wit is nice, and it also gets you a green for groundwork, and escape artist is very, very, very good. When it comes to frontrunner stuff, because you are going to do 2 frontrunners, that's your plan. The nice thing is with both Sei and Suzuka, they both have 1 green, because Suzuka gets left-handed from potential. So you need 2 other greens in order to trigger groundwork. The way groundwork works is that it's a wit check to trigger it, like other skills. But its trigger condition is that you've used 3 other skills in the early race. So the ideal thing is, and what's expected for frontrunners, is you have 3 greens that trigger instantly at the start of the race, and then groundwork instantly triggers, and then you get that additional acceleration to get to your top speed at the start of the race quicker, so that you can get first place. So getting 2 other green skills through inspiration is very important. There's a good amount of green skills that work on this track. So hopefully you can get some of them. You can also include some cards in your deck that have greens if you're not getting them through parent stuff. One card that you do have, which I'm borrowing an MLB copy of, mostly because it does have the chance for greens, which I don't know if I would recommend running at 1 LB over other power options, but El Condor Pasa does hint both of these greens, which do work. She doesn't have anything that helps with hint frequency, though, so whether or not you actually see those hints during an ace run is very suspect. And you definitely wouldn't want to rely solely on that. But looking at parents that do have, especially wet conditions is a really big one. Wet conditions, left-handed for the Sei, but not for the Suzuka. Summer Runner is really good. And then Standard Distance, Tokyo Racecourse are stamp greens that both work. You can consider looking at Target Insight and Competitive Spirit. Competitive Spirit needs 5 front runners. I don't know how reliable that is, or how front runner heavy CM will actually be, but it's something you can take if you don't have any other options. Focus also works, so you can do 2 greens and Focus. That's especially the case for Suzuka, who starts with Focus and also gets concentration from potential skills. The downside to relying on Focus or Concentration is that's also a wit check. So if you fail the wit check for Focus or Concentration, you don't get groundwork off, whereas the greens are guaranteed to activate, at least the ones that are relevant to the the track itself. But I do think Suzuka has the positive aspect of being nice to train because she does have left-handed, which is just a speed green that's really nice, and she also does have focus to fall back on if you don't have all 3 greens. And Sei should perform very well. The downside to front runners is you do need groundwork, you do need the greens to get it, and for Suzuka, not Sei, for Suzuka, you do need a Seiyun Sky Parent so that you can get the unique on her. Because every front runner needs Seiyun Sky Unique. That's basically your win condition, is that you're in first and you do get to trigger Seiyun Sky Unique. Other uniques you can consider are El Condor Pasa Unique. Especially on Sei, because you don't really have much else that you do need to inherit, it's easier to fit an El Condor Pasa Unique in. For Suzuka, if you can fit it, it's cool. If you can't, as long as you have Sei, you're okay. And then for the third option, because you were unsure about the third, you can go basically 2 routes. You can either go 3 fronts, which does potentially have the downside of just you're kind of putting all your eggs in one basket. And if there is a lobby with a strong front runner or a strong blocker that takes first and denies Seiyun Sky Unique, then you can't really compete against it. So then the other option is doing 2 fronts and having a backliner that you just hope kind of gambles into a good Excel. If we're looking at front options, other front options that you do have that I really like are L, but she's very difficult to train because you do have to get the front aptitude up, so it's harder for her. I like Diamond Scarlet a lot. If she does trigger her unique at a good time, if she triggers it early into the second half of the race, it means she's in first and it helps her keep first. If she pulls in late, then she can get speed carryover into Spurt, which is really nice. I know some people are running Diamond Scarlet as just a front blocker as well. Her unique is similar to Falco. It just triggers later in the race than Falco's would. And also on that topic, I also really like Falco. I recommend this to everybody who has a Falco. She's really good. She's really nice. It does suck having to get her turf up. But she's a very strong front runner. She also has front savvy and wet conditions, so it's 2 greens already off the bat. So you only need 1 other green to get groundwork working. She's very nice, she's very cool, but you do have to go through the extra trouble of getting her sparks up. Outside of those, if you did want to look at pace stuff, which I generally wouldn't recommend, Dive with Scarlet or El Condor Pasa could both work as pace characters. I think they perform better in lobbies where front runners aren't very good, and if you're running your own front runners, the hope is that they are good, because the situations where the pace chasers are good is when they overtake the front runners early, and ideally if you're running your own front runners, that's not happening. But if we look at backline stuff, the other options are for late surgers. There's Grass, Vodka. They would both want their potential 5s. Grass gets on your left. Vodka gets Furious Feet. They're gambling accelerations, so they're accels that trigger in the late race, and the hope is that they trigger early into the spurt where you actually get value from them. It's not consistent that happens, but when it does happen, they get a big excel from it. The other things you would look for on them are Metro Ryan Unique, which Ryan is also a character you can use as a late surger. Her potential 5s gives Rising Dragon. I think it's a worse skill than both of the Vodka and the Grass skills, but if she's in 6, then she gets the full value from Iron. That's still good. And you can also get Furious Feet from Ogre Power Card if you did want to buy that. Or borrow that. Not buy. I can't word. But on, if you were gonna do one of these two, you would want to get Ryan unique and or Maruzensky unique. And the hope is that one or both of those trigger, and you get the Excel off of that. You could also look at doing end closer stuff. I think the end closers outside of Taishin are generally weaker, but you do have Taishin, and you already have Taishin at P5. Taishin is a very strong option for the CM for backminder stuff because she has Encroaching Shadow. The downside to Taishin is she starts at Mile D, but that doesn't matter because you're going to load up your aces with Mile Sparks anyways, so you're going to get her to A aptitude before career anyways, and then you're in the same position that you would be with any other ace. So it's not really a downside. The other downside is just the mood down stuff that you have to deal with in her career, but you've already been training Taishin for Gemini Cup anyways, so she's a very strong option, especially if you do like Taishin. You were thinking about Rudolph as well as a late searcher. The downside to Rudolph is she doesn't have the gambling cell that somebody like Vodka or Grass would have, but in the same vein as Ryan, you can get Furious Feet from the SSR Ogre power card if you wanted to use that as your borrow. If not, you look for white skills like Slick Search or Updrafters and take those, and then you also look for those same acceleration uniques, the Ryan unique and Maruzensky unique, and you hope you get your excels off that. And Rudolph does have a nice unique, and she should have a very easy time triggering this because all of the frontrunners that don't get Sayun Sky unique are basically just dead in the water. They won't get to excel, so you should have an easy time passing them and getting this triggered, and it's a very nice unique to have. The downside is just it's a little bit harder to get access to the gambling excels on her because she doesn't have one in her kit compared to somebody like Grass or Vodka. But if you like her and you want to run her, I would just do it anyways. And then again, look for the white skills, Updrafters and Slick Search. If you can get those through Inspiration, that's nice. If not, a card like Vodka Power, if you wanted to borrow that, that's also an option as well. And she has both of those whites. But if you are going to borrow a power card, you could also just borrow the Ogre power and get Furious Feet that way and have the gold version. Vodka does just have like a lot of nice late searcher stuff though, but hopefully that gives some direction. But yeah, I'm definitely, the more that I've looked at Cancer Cup stuff, the more that I'm leaning towards doing 2 front and a backliner myself. But I do think front runners are the strongest strategy, the CM. I think 3 front definitely works. I think 2 front and a backliner gives me a little bit of peace of mind, just in case there is an abundance of front blockers that are causing issues. And you do have good backline options like the Taishin or either the L or the Vodka, or you could do stuff with Ryan or Rudolph as well if that interests you too. Burnt out on Taishin even though I love her? I don't blame you. I am starting to get burnt out on Ogre, which is part of the reason why I'm considering doing late Teo, because I trained Ogre for Taurus Cup, trained Ogre for Gemini Cup, and now have been doing parent stuff with Ogre. So I would like to see some other characters instead of training Ogre all the time. So I definitely feel that. But you definitely, yeah, you have definitely solid backline options outside of it, and you have really strong frontline options as well, especially with stuff like Sei. If you get a really well-built Sei, and she is able to keep the lead, she's an incredibly strong option for Cancer Cup. It's just that she might potentially struggle against some of the other frontrunners who do have those mid-race skills. You do want to get the groundwork, get the greens to make the groundwork up, and then stack her up with a bunch of mid-race speed skills. So stuff like front corners, mile corners, tail held high, curvature, all those things that would trigger on the big middle curve section to help her take and keep lead. Fast-paced as well, which she has. This is very nice. Is McQueen viable as front for the CM? I have seen people talk about McQueen. I haven't looked at it myself, but I've seen people talk about McQueen even as using her as a blocker too. Her unique is good because it's just a mid-race speed skill that helps her keep or take lead. So it's like when you talk about frontrunner uniques that aren't Saiyan Sky, which is mandatory, it seems like the other two viable uniques to take are L unique, which is speed and excel on that straight, or you take Duty of Dignity calls and just have it as a mid-race speed skill. I don't know how cost effective it is to inherit it, but if it's being discussed as something worth inheriting, it's probably not a bad idea to run her as well. I don't know if she performs as well as some of the other frontrunners. She also doesn't have a green that works, and both of her golds aren't great either. You don't get any use out of them. So I think the negative with her is the Maya left sets her behind a bit, and also there's not much in her kit outside of her unique that helps her compete, whereas other frontrunners do have some other tools that are nice. If that makes sense. Hopefully that point made sense. I don't know if I structured those thoughts in the right way. All right, back to the wheel. Let's spin it. What's it gonna be? Entirely sanguine. Awesome. Also, Deepest Trip, congrats on the finals win as well. Newly trained gold ship clutched it by a head huge. Thanks to your live streams, I won and placed first in Gemini. I learned a lot by watching you. Thanks and keep it up. That is so good to hear, Drago-sama. I really appreciate it. I'm very happy that you won your finals. Thought you were playing Infinity Nikki. I never have. I never have, unfortunately. I was somewhat interested in it, and then before I got around to trying it, I heard that they killed the game and made greedy, sad decisions. And I also, even if it didn't happen, I probably still wouldn't have gotten around to playing it yet because there's just too many other gachas that I've been playing, unfortunately. But someday I'll probably check it out because it looks very comfy. It looks fun. I'm not a fashion guy, unfortunately. I have a very terrible fashion sense, but it does seem like a very comfy exploration game. And the music is fantastic too. The music is really good. Let me pull the forms up. Awesome. Got a turf falcon. It was one of my worst runs ever. Never again. Oh no. I'm so sorry. Why Falcon? I've been recommending Falcon a lot. I'm gonna keep doing it. I think Falcon's so good. I think Falcon is really, really strong this EM. It is potentially a pain to train her. She has a very nice unique that helps her keep lead on Cancer Cup. She has 2 greens that work. So you only need 1 more green, which is really nice. The downside is she starts at E-Turf, so getting her up to A-Turf and then also potentially getting a Smile is more of a pain than just focusing on getting a Smile. But if you can put the effort in and make it work, she seems like a really, really strong option for Cancer Cup. It just definitely takes more work than some of the other frontrunners. Why isn't Suzuka in the meta discussion for Cancer Cup? I've been recommending her still. I think she's nice and easy to train. I think having left-handed is really nice. I think having focus and concentration are nice. Fast-paced from potential 4 is nice. Unrestrained from potential 5 is potentially a nice gambling Excel skill. I think the reason that she's not been discussed as much, and I'm not sure if this is correct or not, is just that she might struggle against other characters who have a unique that triggers earlier on and have an easier time of potentially taking or keeping lead. But to me, with what she does have, she seems like a pretty nice and comfy character to train. Even if she doesn't have, like, the, I guess, I guess it might just be that other characters potentially have other, higher highs. Higher highs are more consistent, a more consistent time of keeping and taking lead. Alright, let me... Oh, I need to move this over. If she's in a position to trigger angling and scheming, she should be in a position where she gets her unique off on that final straight. I don't know, I haven't looked at whether or not it triggers before or after she's reached her top speed, and whether she gets like the full value of that full duration. But assuming she does, it would be good to help her just widen the gap, I would imagine. All right. So your current goals are to improve Team Trials team, save for a specific character and support card. Currently saving for Falco alts and Kita rerun. Huge. And you're looking for advice for Team Trials, support card decks, and pull Rex. Awesome. So much talk about Saiyan Sky. I decided to spend more carrots on trying to get her, and guess who appears in my draws? Oh! Also, the L plan came back up. Here we go. Let me pull up, because we are talking about pull Rex, let me pull up the timeline that we were looking at yesterday. And we can start with that. The good thing about Falco alts is you have quite a bit of time until they do come. Here's the timeline. This is where we are right now. We get Amazon banner tomorrow. So if you're looking for Kita rerun, you have plenty of time to save right now until we do hit this point. This is about 3.5, 4 months away. So you have quite a bit of time until Kita rerun, which is awesome because you can just save everything, especially if there's not something in between here that you are looking for. And then Falco is when we hit Grand Live, her first alt, which is here in September. So that's like another half a year, more than half a year until this point. So you definitely have more than enough time to save up for this as well. Grand Life Falco is cool. I think it's my favorite outfit of all three of the Falcos. From what I've heard, because I don't have any Falco on my JP account. From the way that I've heard her discussed, she's very comparable to normal Falco. And then the other Falco alt is quite a bit later, because this is more recent JP stuff, which is years away. But she is like the dirt meta now, from everything that I have read. I haven't played JP in a hot minute. It's been a while. I haven't played JP since like month 2 of Twinkle Legends. So this is past where I had stopped. But Parade Falco is really, really, really good. And she's quite a ways off. So there's a long time to put yourself in a position to pull for her. Things that are around this time, because we haven't talked about banners this far out. And there might be less value in talking about banners that are this far out, just because they are as far out as they are. But there's quite a few good cards in, I guess it'll be 2028 when we get here. There are a lot of really nice support cards and a lot of support card rerun banners where they do like a selection of 10 support cards and you pick 2 and those become your rate ups. And it's a good opportunity to pick up either cards that you missed on their initial banner or copies of those cards when you're trying to chase limit breaks. big cards in this time period. Almond Eye is very good. Which she gets released quite a bit earlier. The Daring Tact card I've heard is good. I haven't seen the most recent cards. But there's a lot of stuff in this time period. It seems like with the release of Almond Eye, which is, I don't even know where. It's 4th anniversary. If, yeah, it is this banner. With the release of Almond Eye, it seems like quite a few other strong cards ended up following. So, this banner in particular, before the Falco, this has Almond Eye and also the group card for Twinkle Legends. This is an extremely valuable banner to save for and factor into the fact that you do want to pull for Falco. If we go back to Doto comes up a little close. So she's about a month away from now. With the amount of pulls that you do have right now, you won't have enough to spark her. And I'm generally not a person who would recommend pulling on a banner if you can't spark. But if you really like a character, ignore me and just do it anyways, because if you like them, sure. It just does feel really bad, especially if you do like a character, to spend everything that you have and come away with nothing. So I would generally always recommend to save up 200, and then pull expecting that you are gonna need to spend 200 pulls. But if you're in a situation where the next thing that you're planning to pull on is Pizza Banner, and you're not interested in any of the stuff in between here, and you really like Doto, and you want to ignore that recommendation, feel free to throw some pulls on that banner, and you'll have enough time in between this banner and the Kita banner to build your pulls back up and be able to spark once on Kita banner anyways, just because of the gap between the two banners. But I generally wouldn't recommend pulling unless you can hit 200. And there are potentially other stuff in here, like this banner, which this is coming at a point where you probably would be able to spark, and if you are interested in these cards, which I'll talk more about these when we do get closer to the release of this banner, but I think these are like the two support card banners that are worth considering pulling on within the next few months. Where Wit Nature, which it's a good wit card. It's more useful at the higher LBs as a race bonus card for Mant, from what I have seen, but it has a late surger skill, so it's nice for late surgers. This is the bigger banner, the Rico Rice banner. Rico is very, very good for Aoharu Cup. It seems like she's kind of an auto-include in every deck that you play, so you either pull for her, or you hope that you get the R version of her MLB'd, and you can use that, or you find and borrow in MLB Rico. In basically every Aoharu Cup deck that you play, Aoharu Cup is going to be our next scenario, which is dropping in this time period here. And we'll talk more about how good this banner is, what it is coming up. But Rice is a power card, which we can pull up on Game Tora, the two cards. Rice is a power card that has Swinging Maestro and also has Stam bonus. Riko is basically the Tazuna of Aoharu Cup, but better. If you look at her at MLB, so she does have the same training effectiveness stuff that Tazuna does have. She has Rushing Gale, which is a random straight excel, which isn't great because it's a random straight excel, but if it hits at a good time, it's fine. The nice thing about her, though, is this chain event gives stamina, this chain event gets stamina and guts. You get stamina here, you get stamina here. She's basically a stamina card, as a friend card. She gives initial stamina as well. And on the topic of stamina, the card that she's paired with, Rice, is a power card that also has stamina bonus from her unique. And she has Swinging Maestro. So this is the banner that starts a transition period, I would say, where you can start considering phasing out stamina cards, at least on the shorter distances, and run something like Riko Rice. And you get your stamina from Riko, you get more stamina when you're doing your power trainings. You can fall back on a recovery like Swinging Maestro. Rice as well for Aoharu Cup, which I don't know if this is something we have talked about, because we have to go look at the training event helper for it. If we look at Aoharu, there is this here, a scenario event where you change your team name, and it lets you pick a name based on characters that are scenario linked, which Rice Shower is a scenario link card for Aoharu Cup. And then, is it this? Which event is it? This event here. Based on the team name that you do choose, you get a skill. Rice Showers is cooldown. So it's a card that can give 2 gold recoveries. Cooldown only works for long, but having a card that can give Swinging Maestro and cooldown, and is a power card, is pretty cool. Riko's definitely the main draw of the banner, but Rice is useful at least through Aoharu Cup, where she is scenario linked, and then her value kind of falls off a bit after that. But I do think this is a potentially very strong banner. And if you do end up getting Riko, it'll make your life potentially easier throughout Aoharu Cup. There is the argument to be had about whether or not on our accelerated pace it's worth pulling on a banner that has cards that are specifically strong for one scenario, knowing that after about 4 months when we get the next scenario, they are going to fall off in value. And you can make the argument that you could just get away with borrowing Riko and go through Aoharu Cup that way. I think that argument becomes less compelling depending on how comfortable you feel with your decks and how comfortable you feel with borrowing Riko and basically just locking your borrow slot to being that. But I think that's also a discussion to have more when we do get closer to this banner. And then, of course, there is this banner, the Kita banner. Kita rerun's really good, especially if you don't have MLB Kita. It's a better banner than her initial banner. The initial banner had 0.5% rates, now it's a 0.75. El Condor Pasa being paired with her is a better card than Daya, so that is also nice. How's the SSR Sweet Tosho? I've actually never used her. We can pull her up. It's got good art. She's adorable. She has a Vision Gold. That's unfortunate. She does still have Slipstream. She does have Spurt. That's a better spurt card than what we've had access to, so that's nice. What event gives spurt? Oh, it's from a random event. Is it? No, it's from chain event. Oh, but it's RNG whether she gives it or not on chain 1. Interesting. Huh. We can pull up the compare tool as well. So you can compare sweep to sweep, because that sounds fitting. She has more friendship bonus. She has speed bonus. No training effectiveness. Does have a higher specialty priority. This is at MLB. If we look at let me see if I can find. Oh, I was gonna pull up the support card spreadsheet, but it's got a lot of new cards too, so that's probably not the maybe overwhelming to look at. She seems like a decent speed card. I don't know if it's a banner worth pulling up. What is she paired with? Because I haven't looked at this banner either. Because I know that I'm not going to be in a position to pull for it, because all my pulls are going to go to Maruzenski. She's paired with Ticket Stam, which is also a card that I haven't looked at. I think the downside to SSR Sweep is probably just that SR Sweep is so good. And if you have MLB SR Sweep, it's not really worth pulling on the SSR anyways, because you'd need multiple limit breaks in order to get it to a point where it outperforms the SR. And if you have the SR ready, you just save the pulls and use that anyways. I think the nice thing that she does have is she's a speed card that has spurt. But it is an RNG chain 1 to get spurt. And if you are using it in those cases, I think it's probably better that you just borrow it rather than pulling it. That would be my initial thoughts on it. Is this a late Surger Stam card? And I think especially with it coming a month before, like Rico Rice, that is generally a banner that has a lot more value. Guts bonus, race bonus. No specialty priority. No training effectiveness. Interesting. Only a base Kita, no limit breaks, and I have her as my borrow whenever you run. Yeah. Kita rerun banner in that case for sure has a lot of value. The nice thing as well, which we didn't talk about, is at this point, and this is entirely up to you how you want to use these resources. When we get to here, which is where JP half anniversary is, assuming we get the rewards at the same time as we did in relation to the JP server, JP got a support card selector ticket that had a half anniversary pool. I'm not entirely sure where that goes up to when it comes to cards. I'm assuming it's everything before nature. I could be wrong on that. But it lets you just pick a support card and you get it as a half anniversary event mission reward. They also introduce a limit break crystal system. So they add in a rainbow limit break crystal and a gold limit break crystal. Rainbow limit break crystals can be used to limit break any SSR card that you have. Gold limit break crystals can be used to limit break any SR card that you have. it takes 20 fragments, that's another item, either gold or rainbow fragments, in order to craft a crystal. And the fragments get given out through events. But when these items get added, they give everybody a free rainbow and gold crystal. So if you wanted to use those on Kita, if you are planning on pulling on Kita Rerun banner, you can hold both of those, the ticket and the crystal. The crystal's more valuable because you can use it on any future card as well. And then when you do your Kita pulls, if you end up slightly short on the Kita, you can use the selector ticket to grab a copy of Kita. Or if you get to like 2LB and you want to push it to MLB, you can use the selector ticket, grab a Kita, and then use the crystal and get her to MLB. It is, based on these estimations for the timeline, like a 2-month gap where you would be holding on to those. So whether or not that's something that you would want to do is entirely up to you. But that can be a good way, especially if you do get unlucky with Kita Rerun, of fixing bad luck there. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. That factors into this time frame. And looking at the SR ticket, especially, the other options that are like high value from there would be like Super Creek or Fine Motion. The crystal, on the other hand, does have more value because you can hold on to it, and when another good card in the future does come, if you get bad luck on those banners, you can have crystals in reserve in order to rectify that. But hopefully that has given some pull recommendation information, and at least banners that are in the near future that do have value. But you do definitely have enough time to comfortably be able to spark on Kita banner from now until then. You could potentially consider going for something else in the meantime, because there is that time gap. And then there's also a decent amount of time after Kita where you'll definitely be able to build the pulls back up to get Grand Life Falco. And there are other things that are worth looking at in there, which we'll very briefly talk about. Support card stuff. This banner's potentially good. Fugitar is a speed card. She's really nice in Mant. She's also a card that you might just want to borrow when we do get to Mant, because Mant will be a little bit off from here. But also, there's another card. Where's Top Road? Top Road is also another speed card that is good in Mant. The downside to both of them is they kind of they're good in Mant and then they fall off. Looking at one of those speed cards is probably a good option. I would probably lean more towards this banner. The Ayabe card on this banner is a Guts card, but it's a Guts card that's good in Mant, from what I have heard. So the value of this banner is that it does have Ayabe as well. And then other cards as well. If we look at... Oh, that is not the button I meant to click. There's this banner, which Maruzensky's really good for frontrunners. There is also the banner that happens at the exact same time as Smart Falcon, because this is when Grand Live drops, and this is something you would probably want to plan pulls around. Like Rico, Light Hello is mandatory in every single deck. for the entirety of Grand Life. So you either pull for Light Hello, or you borrow her in every deck, or like Rico, you can also get away with using an MLB R Light Hello. The R versions of those cards do get introduced as these banners come up, so hopefully you get an MLB R if you don't end up grabbing the SSR. The other card on this banner is Agnes Tachyon. Agnes Tachyon's an incredible speed card for Grand Live, and then she falls off after Grand Live is done. But this banner has a lot of value. Both of these cards are really, really good during Grand Live. The downside is it's at the same exact time as Grand Life Falco, so you might want to come into this period with a decent amount of pulls if you are interested in pulling the Falco ult, and also potentially interested in these cards as well. And then we can talk about Team Trials as well, because that was the other thing. Did you win CM? We did, yeah. We got first, second, third, actually, which is crazy. We did really, really well this CM. And had like an 83% win rate overall. CM went very, very well for me. I'm really happy. We got incredibly lucky with our matchmaking throughout too. Even though I think our finals was on the tougher end of the races that we did have, I don't think it was super terrifying. Why is it 1,000,000 degrees here? Goodbye. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Deedlit. So you are in Class 6. That's great. Class 6 is very good. The entirety of my time playing on JP, I would comfortably be able to promote from Class 5 to Class 6. I would comfortably be able to reach the promotion line there, and then I never in my entire playtime was able to retain Class 6. So I would bounce back and forth between Class 5 and Class 6, and if you're at that point, that's still a good position to be in. It's basically, you miss out on 150 carats every 2 weeks, so it's one pull every 2 weeks compared to retaining Class 6. So it's not a huge deal if you aren't able to retain Class 6, as long as you're in the position where you can get into there every now and then. All right. Also, we didn't look at support cards at all. We went straight to we went straight to banners stuff. Let's look at trainees and support cards as well. Teo! Yay, Teo. We love Teo. Uguri's great. You have Falco. Falco's amazing. We love Falco. Awesome. MLB Creek is gigantic. This is amazing. Really good to have. You have Yukino Bijin and Yaino Muteki as well. These are very nice to have for parents stuff. Yaino Muteki in particular, having Ramp Up Tail Halt High Home Stretch Haste and PTO here. She is really, really, really good to have for parent runs. And then Yukino Bijin potentially later on, after this skill gets its rework, this skill can be a very nice acceleration for backliners later. Because right now, I talk about this a little bit in my Karen-chan banner review. Right now, this skill is very difficult to trigger, and in order to trigger it, you need to be blocked from the front for a second during the late spurt. Later on, that trigger condition gets reworked to a, I think it's near front continue time, where it's just somebody needs to be in front of you, within, I think it's within 2.5 meters in front of you, and not more than... Actually, we can just pull the condition up instead of me trying to go for memory. We're back on Game Tora, so if we look at this here, you can see the condition for it now, where it's this blocked front continue time. If you switch to JP here on the region, in front near lane time, which is, this is the same activation condition as Slipstream, but Slipstream checks that this is happening for 3 seconds. No Stopping Me checks that it's happening for 1, so it's even more consistent to trigger than Slipstream, and Slipstream's already considered a consistent and very good skill. It's if somebody is no more than 2.5 meters ahead and less than a lane away on either side. So it becomes a... It goes from a skill that only triggers when you're getting blocked in your spurt, which means you're in a bad position and it's something that's less consistent to happening, to a skill that then triggers pretty consistently, and the effect of it is it's a 0.4 excel that also comes with movement speed, lane movement speed. So it's a very nice card to have on hand, or if you didn't have it, which you do have it, something that you could potentially consider borrowing for CMs later. But having this is actually really nice if you can fit it into a deck in situations where you would want that skill. Which base Umas get changes? So there are reworks, I believe, at anniversaries. I'm unsure exactly when each rework happens. There is a point in time, I think it's 2.5 Annie. I could be off on this, but what happens is if we look at characters, and this is less specific characters getting reworked and just an overhaul of some things. If we look at Teo, because I like Teo. If you're on the JP version of Game Tora, which we are, if we switch to global to illustrate this, so we have all of the skills here. We have the innate, unique, and awakening. If we switch to JP, we still have all of that stuff. And then there's this section, evolved skills, which is basically if you buy the gold skill at the end of the career, as long as you satisfy these conditions, you have the chance to evolve it. And it changes to one of these, which has different effects. So even though it's not necessarily rebalancing old Umas, there are a decent amount of Umas that end up seeing quite an improvement to their skill set when these get introduced. So somebody like Teo, who these skills also just get better. Somebody like Teo who struggles with the gold skills right now, then this turns into an excellent speed. This turns into a lane movement, an excel, and a speed, alongside with just the fact that she does get her unique activates a bit nicer as well later on. Teo's a cool one. She's in a rough spot right now, but she actually gets to become a pretty solid pace chaser later. I can try and look. I'll make a note to myself to look in some Discords and see exactly when certain rebalances happened, and I can post in Discord tomorrow in the Gacha channel once I do look that over, because I was very in and out when I was playing on JP, so I missed a decent amount of when certain things happened. But I do know first anniversary comes with a guts buff, and I believe certain skills got reworked then, And then I believe also some other things got reworked at 1.5 Annie or 2nd Annie. It was one of the two. And unfortunately, with the way that they have been handling the global version, we're very much in the same period of time that JP was. So we don't see those reworks until we reach those points later on. Can we Dynamax? I wish. I would love bigger Teo. That would be cool. Sprint Taiki! I like Taiki a lot. Ooh. Your long team seems pretty solid when it comes to the stamp stuff. For sure. That's very nice. That's generally one of the big things is not having enough stamp for long. But your long team looks very solid. I would say this is maybe... Although you do have... Actually, you have a lot of guts and with target in sight as well. That's probably fine. Even for the longer miles. These are maybe a little short on stam for the longer mile, but I don't even know if that is the case. I normally would shoot for around 600, which this would help. But on the track where this would help, it's 1,800 meters, so it wouldn't trigger. But I think that would be the only track that these would maybe struggle on for stam, and I don't even know if that is the case. That seems fine. Long team seems the most consistent. Okay. I think if you are hitting A's on some of your Umas, that gives you an indication that you can go back and retrain some of the B pluses. For medium, I really like a deck like this, where you do 4-2 or 3-3. If you have a character with speed bonus, so somebody like Ogre, you can do 3-3 and shoot for even more stam, or you can do what you did here and try and fit in a wit card. And as long as you're getting your other stats to the point where you want them to be, then trying to fit in a wit card is nice. In this case, even with the 2 golds, this might still struggle at this stamina, so you could consider going for something like 3 speed, 3 stam. If you were gonna look at stam options, you have the Creek, which is incredible. And then the fact that these are lower limit breaks is a little unfortunate. But you could use both of these. Another option that you do have is Say, who even at 0 LB, we can pull up the compare tool here and look. I am still on JP. Oops. If we look at this here, The downside to say is she doesn't have training effectiveness, but she has more friendship and mood bonus than Cafe and higher stamina priority, or specialty priority. I can't even word. The upside when you compare to someone like Maya is, even though Maya does have the training effectiveness and the friendship bonus, Sei does have more specialty priority, and she also doesn't have to deal with Maya not having any initial friendship gauge. So Sei 0 LB is definitely something worth considering, especially if you are training a front runner as well, where you can make use of, if I can even get to the skill, Escape Artist for front runners is actually a really nice gold skill as well. And then you do have the McQueen for long too, so your long team is already in a good spot. I think trying to push some of these up to A is probably where you might see a decent improvement. This might be low on stam. I'm not sure because of the 2 golds. I think it still is. This is closer to where I would look for with the stam, like 850 to 900 with a gold. This is maybe a little lower, but you have the standard distance for the track where you would want the extra stam, so that helps. And you do have S-mid on this. And then just looking for more speed as well, because it looks like you're getting close enough on the stam, at least on these 2. Which if we look at speed options, again, borrowing the Kita is definitely the right call. Kita's very good. "3LB Sweep" is not as good as MLB Sweep because you miss out on this, but this is basically a speed card you can include in any deck, and it should be very comfy. So running this plus the borrowed Kita plus, if you're doing late searcher stuff, Aishin is really nice because this stuff. I haven't actually looked at how 1LB Aishin compares to King Halo. We can do that as well. Just for general use too. We can also throw this in there too. Because this is another speed card. I think out of these, for general use, I like King. The speed bonus is nice. She does have the extra training effectiveness. She has the highest specialty priority out of them. The downside is the lack of mood effect, but the mood effect numbers being this big, is a little misleading on how valuable the mood effect actually is. I would value the other stuff that she brings, like the initial speed and the speed bonus and the training effectiveness. I would say more than make up for these for general use. And then she gets better as more limit breaks do happen too. But it is hard. It is hard to get SR dupes, especially if you're saving for Kita banner as well. Ogre's kind of a placeholder till I train someone that... Okay, that makes sense. Hopefully you can see some improvements. But yeah, if you're in a position right now where you are able to promote to 6, and then you're demoting, you're still in a good spot for the rewards that you are getting for team trials. And I do think even in that position where you're not, like, retaining class 6 consistently, with how small the difference in rewards is, it can be a lot nicer, especially when it comes to the borrow limit, to just devote your borrows to either parent stuff or ace stuff for CMs, just to help you perform well in CMs. So which would be the best Umas to train for mid and mile? I really like the mile team you have set up, actually. This is something that I was running, I think, with the opposite order for vodka and grass, in terms of late searcher and pace chaser. I think I had them swapped, but I ran this as my mile team. I actually think this might still be my mile team right now. Wait. Or I think, oh no, I think I put Suzuka back. Yeah, my mile team right now is Suzuka Frontrunner, Vodka Pace Chaser, Grass Late Searcher, and that's done pretty well for me. And before I had Suzuka there, because I was running my Suzuka on Sprint because I didn't have a Sprint option, I had Daiwa as a Frontrunner there. And it felt like a very solid team. So I think that this lineup is pretty good, especially for what you do have. Ogre is very versatile, where you can kind of run her anywhere on any of these teams that aren't Sprint, and she can kind of just fill whatever slot that you want. So I think having Ogre available is a really nice option, and something you can do, and I'm gonna be a little mean to Haru Urara, so cover your ears if you don't want to hear that, I'm sorry. If you see that Haru is underperforming on the dirt team, you can always swap her for an Ogre and build like a dirt Ogre and run her there, and you might see a little bit of a nicer performance, and that's an easier and maybe more beneficial switch to make, because it's probably easier to find somebody to fill this medium slot. Train Fukugitaru and Ticket once, and those are them. Oh my gosh. Sweet, yeah. So I would just say, especially if you do like Fukugitaru, because I was running Fukugitaru on long, and then I think I replaced her with somebody. I don't remember who. It might have been Goldship. Sorry, Fukugitaru. She's nice. She's a very fun Uma. I like her a lot. So as long as you like training characters, you can find use for them. Mid-long works for her, so either of those distances work. In terms of other character options, for mid and mile, Maya's very nice. I like Maya a lot. She also has the nice thing where you can kind of run her as any style. The downside to her is her unique requires her to be blocked on the side, so it's an inconsistent unique to trigger for team trials, and hitting uniques in team trials can help with points quite a bit. You have Takiat on long, right? I like this. I like your long team a lot, actually. I'm glad you're using Teo. Teo is cool. Maya is a character that you could consider using, and she works kind of like Ogre, where you can move her around quite a bit in terms of distance and also running style. We talked a little bit about running style stuff yesterday, and I'll mention it again. It's not something to prioritize or go out of your way for, but there's a positioning bonus called Good Positioning in Team Trials that gives you points. It happens in the mid-race and the late race, and it basically looks at each style and sees who is leading positioning-wise for that style, and you get bonus points for that. If you have every character on a certain team, like this team here, where there isn't an overlap in running style, then all of these can get that good positioning bonus, which is really nice. As opposed to a team like one of these, where you have the double up there. One of them can get the positioning bonus, and then the other misses out on it. So that's something well, when it comes to Ogre and Maya in particular, since I was talking about them, that's something that makes them particularly nice and flexible, that they can run other styles, so you can position them more easily in a way where they don't have that overlap, and then it just helps give you the opportunity for some more points. But it's not something you need to go out of your way to do. And you can definitely just see, like, score improvements anyways by just improving, like, the general quality of Umas. So moving some of these B+, retraining the ones that you've, like, only briefly trained and getting them to higher rating. Getting to higher rating means you get to face higher rated opponents, and then you get the extra point bonus for having a higher rated opponent as well. So that is also good too. The Machikare agenda must be... She's great. She's really good. Ticket's career gives me a headache because of how strong her rivals are. I have also... I think I've only done maybe like 2 or 3 ticket careers. I don't know if it's about her career or if it's her as a character that I just don't really connect with. But she's one of my least trained Umas in the entire game, I would say. Outside of Biwa, who I just did Biwa's career for the first time like 2 days ago. And I actually had a blast with it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I really like her story. It might just be my hatred. That's true as well. But yeah, I really like your Mile team. I would consider maybe moving Ogre to the Dirt team if you see Haru's underperforming, and using Ogre here. You can use her as a pace chaser or a late surger. Either way works. And then in that case, it would open up a slot on your medium team. And if you are looking at medium options, Maya works. Creek works. The downside to Creek is you can't use Creek support card, but if you're running her on medium, relying on other stam cards doesn't hurt as much, and she does have a recover unique. I haven't actually trained Opera O at all, but that is an option as well. Definitely train the characters that you like the most, too, because that's fun. Oh, yeah, but Queen as well. She's also an option. She does have, her unique's a little odd, where it needs her to be at low HP for it to trigger. And you also miss out on stuff like this if you were gonna build her for media, but it is an option too. Hopefully that gives some direction, at least for the team trial stuff, and also for polls and general banner stuff going into the near future. McQueen and Teo are swapped. Wanted normal McQueen, but got anime. Wanted anime Teo, but got normal. Oh no. That is unfortunate. I think I'm in a weird spot where I like normal Teo's outfit a lot more than anime Teo, and I think I might like anime McQueen's outfit slightly more than normal McQueen. And unfortunately, anime Teo and normal McQueen just end up being better as well than the other options generally from what I've seen. At least for now. Normal Teo does get better later. But I'm also in a position where I haven't gotten either of the anime versions, but hopefully someday. It would be cool. 777's good. Hopefully, yeah, hopefully it helps. We can spin the wheel. I think we can do one more. We can do one more tonight, and then I'll be live again tomorrow, and hopefully earlier in the day, and we can do more tomorrow. But we can at the very least get one more done now. Before I start scripting some Gemini Cup retrospective stuff and then crash for the night. But let's do one last wheel spin. Who's it gonna be? It's Akrita! Alright. Dead center as well. We haven't seen that a lot. It's normally a lot closer. But I guess the wheel is smaller now than it was before. Wake, what's up? Finals treated me very well. We got first, second, third, which was crazy. I was not expecting that at all. The wheel just hates me. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. The wheel's evil. But this will be the last one we do tonight, and then I will be live every day for the rest of this week again. So if I am live and you guys are available still, just bug me about it, and I will I will do more reviews because I do want to get through everybody. And hopefully, again, some of this information has still been useful at least. In the meantime. Let me pull up the form. Fun background yapping, enjoyable, awesome. It's nice to have something to listen to while you maul to not getting groundwork on your parents, which is what I have been doing for the last 2 days, is pulling up an Uma stream while I either do careers on my phone or careers on my other monitor. Oh yeah, the Honkai Nexus Anima beta invites got sent out. Guess who did not get into another Hoyo game beta? It's me. I'm never going to. Who did the wheel land on? It landed on Zakrita. So this will be the last one that we do for tonight, and then we will do more. As anybody who still has not gotten done yet, unfortunately, I'm sorry. Just feel free to come by when I am live over the next few days, because I should be live every day this week. And we can get through more. Disappear into sleep while crying because I didn't get the inspirations I wanted for my 3-part. I'm so sorry. I feel that. I'd be getting good sleep. No night owl. No sleep deprived. Been blacklisted? Yeah, it's because I stopped logging into Genshin. If I logged into Genshin more, they'd be like, oh, this is a person who needs to sell their soul to Hoyo even more. And then I would have a chance. Oh, she does have Kika Show and Spring Tenno Show. That's true. I forgot about that as well. Which I guess that's a similar issue. I don't know if, does Sei have Spring Tenno Show? I know she takes Kika Show. I haven't looked at Sei's career because I haven't gotten her because she didn't come home on my singles. She does, yeah. I guess that is a downside to training both of them. Is needing to hit the stam to actually be able to live those while not overshooting stam even more. But Queen has to win it too, which is brutal. I think Sei only needs top 3. Needing to win it is a lot. When learning green skills, do you always double invest points into them or just do it once? I think that's an answer that changes based on the situation. For team trials, only do it once because it's skill points you could spend on other things. Because you don't actually get any more points for triggering a double circle version in team trials. For CM, it depends on the green. For the speed and power ones, I'll generally double circle them as long as I can afford it. For guts, I would just grab the single one, especially if you're looking for groundwork. For the stam ones, if you really need the additional stam, you can double circle it. If not, then just singling is fine, just to get the 40. But if you're picking up green specifically to trigger groundwork, I would double circle the speed and power ones. So Summer Runner left-handed, wet conditions, because it's just more stats of a stat that you really want. Same with the savvy skills, front runner savvy. Getting more wet on a front runner is really nice. And then the other stuff like standard, Tokyo, target and sight, Sunny Days, I would just single circle so that you have it to trigger groundwork, but you don't actually need the larger stat gain from it. Because ideally you just hit the stat thresholds for the speed bonus anyways for Cancer Cup, so 601 stam and 301 guts, and that lets you survive the race even without needing like the extra stam or guts that you would get from the double circle too. Okay, we are in. Also, Kicker Puncher, what's up? Feel like every time I have a scheduled race, there's a hint in the training. I feel that. When I was doing Ogre and L stuff off stream, I was getting a lot of Fuji Kiseki hints when Triple Crown races were happening, and it felt sad skipping them because I really want Summer Runner. All right. Also, the thingy came back. Hi, L. Bye, L. Current goals were to improve and build for CM, build and improve team trials, save for a specific support card, and then looking for advice for CM team trials and pull recommendations. Need advice on team trials in the upcoming CM, and maybe based on what I have, what new UMAs or support cards should I aim for? Awesome. Well, first then, let's look at what you do have. Which I see Karen and Sei. Huge. Sei is fantastic. Queen is here. No Teos. Unfortunate. It's okay. That'll change at some point. Cool. Suzuka Spe. Nice. Good to have them together. 3LB Kita. Nice. 1LB Suzuka as well. And then SRs, we have MLB Biwa, MLB Cafe, 3LB Sweet, the MLB Wits, MLB King, sweet, MLB Helios. Ooh, this is something I will also talk about in the when I do make the Cancer Cup video. This card's really good. I've been using this card in my parent deck. I only have it at 1LB, but if you have it at MLB, including this in your ace decks for CM as one of your power cards is really nice. Mile Corners is fantastic. Shifting Gears is really good. Speed Eater, if you're doing front runner stuff, this skill is awesome because it's a speed white. So 0.15 speed, which is the same as what you would get from like Sigil Circle Mile Corners or from Shifting Gears, but it also decreases that same amount of speed from the people behind you. Really cool. Really, really good. Really, really, really good for keeping lead if you're doing front runner stuff. It does need you to be in first to trigger it, but if you do see this, it's a fantastic skill to pick up for front runners. And then also, if you're not doing front runner stuff, or if you're doing front runner stuff and you're not in first, Slipstream and Ramp Up are still both usable. I wouldn't prioritize them over other things for front runner stuff, just because ideally you are in the lead. But if you get to the end of the career and it's been hinted and you don't have something else that you want to take, you can take it and they will trigger if you're in like second or something. Slipstream can help with overtaking into first. And if you're maybe a little further back, this gives you a speed increase when you do try to overtake. And for other styles that aren't front runner, having access to Mile Corner, Shifting Gears, Ramp Up, and Slipstream all on one card is pretty cool too. So let's look at team trials. In promotion range to hit class 6, awesome. I feel like I've gotten sleep deprived way more often in the last few days. I feel like it's almost every career, sometimes twice. Sometimes I get it twice. Was aiming for Anime Teo and got Anime McQueen? Always get demoted from class 6? Okay. So a similar situation of bouncing between the two. I'm very familiar with that feeling. That is where I was at on JP. Cotton, cool. Big speed, big power, awesome. Ooh. The grass on the Mile team is definitely the weakest performer here. I think you can probably, especially if you are borrowing an MLB Creek, you can probably get away with swapping the McQueen out for another like speed or power, and you'd still be fine with hitting the stam that you're looking for. Didn't work on grass for a long time. Okay. This is maybe a little low on stam for the longer mile, but that's fine because you'll live all the others except for the longest one, and you can get a good score with that anyways. And even then, if you're hitting both the blues, it's still potentially fine. Ooh, big debuffs. Lots of debuffs. This Spe here might struggle on stam because it's 800. And this is a long gold, so you don't actually get this. So she might just not finish races. I would look at probably retraining this, and instead of borrowing the Kita, borrow like a Creek here and get Maestro that way. And you have the 3LB Kita, so that's totally fine to just run that instead of borrowing the MLB one. Have to be honest, I hate that's just me reading chat. I didn't say that. But I can't blame you at all. This looks fine. Deep breaths won't trigger because it's also a long, but the other, and pressure as well. But these both trigger, and this is okay. I like 3 speed, 3 stam a lot. 3 speed, 3 stam for long is my go-to. This looks nice. This looks very nice. This is probably struggling quite a bit on the long at this stam. This is closer to something you would want to run on medium at this stam. And even then it might struggle with the longer mid. So I would consider just moving this to mid and maybe running somebody else on long, or just retraining this and trying for more stam. But you don't have anything that's long specific in here, and you do have S-Turf, S-Front, so you could just like move this to your medium team, and that almost fixes the potential issue with the stam. Is Unrestrained a good gold skill? It's a gambling excel. If you have the skill points for it, you can go for it. I don't know if it's more valuable to spend the skill points that way than it is to spend the skill points on just other mid-race speed skills that help you consistently get into a position where you can trigger angling and scheming. But if it does trigger late on the final corner, it can be nice. If it triggers early on the final corner, which if we look at Tokyo Racetrack, this is where final corner starts. Final corner starts here. If it triggers anywhere up through like here, it kind of doesn't do anything. If it triggers close to this section, it will still carry over into Spurt. And if it triggers in here, then it's actually a really nice excel. The problem with it is this portion is a lot smaller than this portion, and it's potentially expensive, and those are skill points that you could spend on other things that just get you in a position where you're more likely to be in first, and then you get, say, unique here and take off more. But if it triggers at a good time, you kind of take off even more in the spurt. So it can be nice. So I'm not sure which is more valuable, either going for that gambling excel or going for more speed skills. But there's definitely a bit of a consideration there. I think I personally would rather just get more mid-leg speed skills. But I think you could probably make an argument for either side. Dirt team! The Haru is definitely on the weaker end because she is B rank. So you could look at retraining this. I'm assuming this is a pretty old career, especially with the Baro here. And you'll probably see an improvement on your dirt team score. The Ogre is low on stam for mile. I would normally shoot for around 600 stam with a gold. You can shoot for lower. That's just what I normally aim for to have a more comfy time with hitting the longer mile track. But as long as you get a good score on the shorter ones, it's fine. This is probably a little low though. So I would shoot for more stam on the Ogre, even with the Gourmand. Like at least another 100 stam is what I would look for. But I do think the Haru, the Spe, being on the weaker end, I think the Sei here is low on stam for long, but you could move this to medium, and then she's actually like a pretty competitive option there. So that's a quick change that makes her perform better. And then you just fill the long slot with somebody else. If you are looking to retrain stuff for team trials, that's a path you could go. And then the grass being B+ as well, which we talked about the grass too. You can probably, for mile, if you are gonna run a stam card, and if you are borrowing MLB Creek, you probably just need the one, and you'll get to 600, and you'll get Maestro, and it does like all of your stam stuff for you, and then you can fill the rest of the deck with speed and power or speed and wit, and have a good stat line that way on the mile characters. I think this as well, the Suzuka, I don't know if I talked about the Suzuka either, but the Suzuka is definitely low on stam as well for the mile. And similar thing there to the grass. If you do want a quick fix for the stam, you can borrow the MLB Creek, get Maestro that way, and she should get you to around 600 stam, and then that plus Maestro is totally fine for all of the Mile stuff, and then fill the rest of the deck with speed, which these 3 speed cards are awesome. The Kita King Sweep, if you don't have like a card that you want to run with someone, so like Aishin for the late surger, hints if you're training late surgers, if you don't have that case, these 3 speed cards in every deck basically that you want to run 3 speed cards is just a really solid lineup. Even with the Kita and the Sweep being at 3 LB, they're all still just really good cards, and then you can fill the rest of the deck with Power or Wit, or even the 1LB Tazuna. Tazuna at 1LB does underperform a little bit compared to at higher limit breaks, just because she does get the extra 5 training effectiveness at 2LB, and with a character like Suzuka as well, since Suzuka does get concentration from her potential 3. One of the nice things about Tazuna as a team trials card is you can just slap it in on your Mile and Sprint decks, and it's a relatively cheap gold skill that also helps. There is a score bonus for Strong Start. If you have a Strong Start, you get extra points, and that is something that can help you to hit Strong Start more consistently. So even if it's not something that helps you win races, and normally concentration's a skill that you would only like take on front runners where the late starts are really punishing, when it comes to team trials and just trying to hit higher scores, having a cheap gold skill that also helps you hit Strong Start can be really, really nice. So I like Tazuna a lot for team trials. And even at the 1LB, she does get 5 training effectiveness, which is still nice. You can consider trying to slot her in specifically on these 2 distances, Sprint and Mile, and then also Dirt, because Dirt is Mile. If you see that when you're using her, you're maybe struggling with one stat or another, swap her out for a power card or a wit card, and you might have a more consistent time of hitting the stat line you want. But if you're getting the stats that you want, having access to the dates to fix mood and give energy is really nice. Tail held high, if you get her dates started before New Year going into Classic Year, she gives 3 hint levels for Tail held high. Tail held high is really cheap and really good. And she, even at 1LB, has that 5% training effectiveness, so she's a good roamer, and when she does hit a stack, she gives the less energy that you spend on it, and the failure rate decrease as well. So potentially very nice if she does land on trainings that you want to train on too. So I like her a lot in team trial specifically for the shorter distances. I've been using her in basically all of my sprint and mile stuff, just borrowing an MLB one, and you can totally get away with just the 1LB one if that is something that you're interested in looking at. Outside of team trials, I think it starts to fall off a bit. It's potentially hard to slot her into a CM deck, especially for the longer CMs that we have had at the start. And also she does lose the value that just having access to concentration does provide, because the big thing with concentration is just the extra cheaper gold skill for team trials. But hopefully that gives some direction for the team trial stuff. We can talk about pulling as well. Oh, Spoonloco, what's up? How's it going? So we can pull up the timeline again. And you're in a position here with the 3LB Kita where I don't think this is a recommendation that I have given yet. But this is the situation where I would give it, unless you want, when we get to this point in time here, if I can switch to the right window, here we go. When we get to this point in time, we do get the half anniversary selector, support card selector, which lets you pick basically any support card that you want. I believe up through like here, which I guess is up through this, because this is a rerun. I don't think it includes this. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't include this. You can just use that ticket to grab your last Kita limit break and get MLB that way, and then completely ignore this banner. Don't even have to think about it, and then just pull for other cards. The only other thing that I would consider grabbing with that ticket is Creek, if you wanted to have access to the 0 LB Creek, just to have Maestro in cases that you don't want to borrow it. I don't know how frequently that would happen. But those are the only two things I would consider taking from the selector ticket with what you have right now. And that does just basically, it solves your Kita needs. What you can do, though, is, especially if you are interested in pulling on either of these banners, the Nature Wit or the Rico Rice, if you are going to pull on either of these banners, wait until you do your pulls on these banners just to make sure that you don't get spooked by a Kita from one of these banners. And then when you're done with your pulls, if you haven't gotten a random Kita off rate from these, you can use the selector and just grab MLB Kita that way, and that has a lot of value. These are basically the next two good support card banners, which we talked about these cards more, but we can talk about Nature as well, because we briefly glossed over. Basically, she's a good Wit card, even at 0 LB or 1 LB where she gets the Wit bonus. But then later, at 3 LB, she gets 5 race bonus here, plus the 5 from her unique, so it's 10 race bonus. And then at MLB, it's 15 race bonus. So even at 0 LB, she's getting Wit bonus from her unique. And then at 1 LB, it's 2 Wit bonus, which is really nice. So she's just a good Wit card at lower limit breaks. But when you take her to higher limit breaks, this race bonus, while not being impactful for the scenario that she drops during, which here is where we get our Haru Cup, race bonus isn't that necessary for our Haru Cup, and you generally don't race too much in our Haru Cup. But 4 months after this, when we do get to Mant, having a card that gives 15 race bonus is really, really, really nice. So she gets very good there, and she also has On Your Left, which, as we've been talking about Cancer Cup stuff and gambling excels, this is a good Wit card that has a late surger gambling excel. So if you like late surgers, this is a particularly nice card as well. Even if you don't push it to high LBs and you just get it to 0 LB or 1 LB, where it's just a solid Wit card to have in a deck, for late surgers in particular, having access to On Your Left is pretty nice. Outside of these two banners, if we're talking about characters, which we haven't talked about the meta characters today, which, on the topic of characters, pull for your favorites. I think the way to play and enjoy Uma the most is you pull for the characters you really like, and then you pull for the good support cards, or the support cards that are good for the running styles that that character plays, so that you can make those characters perform well, rather than just pulling for meta characters, because I think it's a lot more fun to train your favorites. But if we are going to talk about pull recommendations, we can talk about the characters that are very strong. And those characters, the 3 that are in the near future, are Summer Maruzensky. And then there's a gap. And then we have Christmas Ogre, who is very good. And then there's another small gap here. And then there's Valentine's Mihono Bourbon. So the way that all 3 of these characters work is Bourbon and Maruzensky are all frontrunners. Summer Maruzensky, when she comes out, is basically the meta frontrunner for, on global, it'll be about 4 to 5 months until Bourbon comes out. She's the strongest frontrunner option. Her unique is when you trigger a heal in the second half of the race, if you're towards the front, you get a speed increase. It's a big speed increase for a good duration. It helps her either keep the lead if she's in the lead, or if she's in the top 3, it helps her take the lead. Which, as a frontrunner, you want to be in first when you get to the start of the late race, which is on the corner, and then you trigger your Seiyun Sky unique, and then you run away with the race. So she's a character that is very, very good at competing for the lead. She also has stuff like this, 777s, which is her potential 2 skill. The way that 777s works is it is a stamina recovery, HP recovery that triggers when you hit 777 meters left in the track. It's still a wit check, but it is a recovery that triggers at a consistent position on the track, assuming that you do hit your wit check. And since her unique requires a heal to take place during the second half of the race, you can use this as the trigger for your unique on any tracks where this is the second half of the race. So on mile stuff or the longer distances, this can be used as your trigger. And knowing that you will consistently trigger your unique at this point is really nice. It's really good. She also has Mile Maven, so that's nice for mile stuff. She also has Speed Eater. That's very nice for mile stuff. She also has this, which is a heal on an uphill, so that can also be another trigger for this as well. She's a very strong frontrunner. She's really good. The other characters are Ogre Cap. Christmas Ogre Cap's crazy. This character is really strong. I started JP at a little after 1.5 year anniversary. Every CM that I entered for the next year, Christmas Ogre was either one of the strongest options or just a very good option. She's very good, and she stays good for quite a while. And she's also extremely versatile. So she has the same aptitudes as normal Ogre, which is the way that the alts work, which means you can run her on basically any distance. You can run her on tracks where pace chasers are good, you run her as a pace chaser. On tracks where late surgers are good, you run her as a late surger. On tracks where end closers are good, you up her end aptitude, and you run her as an end closer. She can run turf and dirt, so you can use her in any of that stuff. So she's a character that can be used in a lot of situations, and she's also just very good in a lot of situations. Her unique is a speed, excel, and a heal that triggers in the second half of the race after you've healed 3 times. So like Summer Maruzensky, which we were just talking about being a character where you can plan on their unique triggering at a certain point of time, Ogre also has 777s from her potential. So you can use this as the trigger for your unique, and if it's on a course where this triggers and then you carry these effects over into the spurt, she's an incredibly strong option. She is really, really, really good. She's just a really, really good character. And then we have Bourbon. Bourbon becomes the meta frontrunner and basically takes Summer Maruzensky's place, which you can make the argument of Maruzensky being less valuable because the time between her banner and Bourbon's banner, especially with the accelerated pace that Global is going at, is a bit short. It's like 4 to 5 months. The good thing about frontrunners is when you run frontrunners, you never run one frontrunner, you run two. So if you are a frontrunner player and you're interested in running frontrunners, you can take both V Bourbon and Summer Maruzensky and run them both. Valentine Bourbon's unique is in a mid-race corner. If there's another girl behind you, you get speed and you get a heal. It's a very good mid-race unique that works either if you're in the front and there's somebody behind you, you get it and you widen your lead. If you're towards the front, it helps you take the lead. She has focus, she has fast-paced, she has escape artist, she has groundwork from her potential, so you don't have to worry about getting groundwork through inspiration. She has concentration, she has front savvy, which is one of the greens that she needs for groundwork on courses where wet conditions works. You can get wet conditions from her event if you do get her event, and that gets you a second green. She's really good. She's a really strong front runner. Very good to have. Very cool. So if you're interested in frontrunners, both of those are great options. The downside to Summer Maruzensky is Bourbon exists, and then also, if we go further here, in August, this banner comes up, and this card is a speed card, so it's already good, just because it's a speed card. Speed cards are good. The unique gives training effectiveness based on the level of the training facility that she's on. She has good effects. Her hints that she gives are front straights, front corners, which are both very valuable frontrunner skills that generally work everywhere. Leader's Pride is nice. Slipstream's good. Playtime's Over is really good. Early Lead is not good. This is a skill, which I don't know if we talked about this skill at all for CM stuff. This skill is bad. It is an early race excel that triggers after 5 seconds have passed. So it doesn't help you trigger groundwork because you want groundwork to trigger instantly. And if you're triggering groundwork, you've finished accelerating by the time this happens, so it does nothing. Ignore this one, but hey, look, this card also has groundwork on it, and it also has focus on it, and it also has a mid-race speed skill as well. It's a very, very, very good frontrunner speed card. And if you like frontrunners, you pull this card, or you borrow it whenever you're doing frontrunner trainings. The downside is it's a Maruzensky card, which means Summer Maruzensky can't use it. And because it's as good of a card as it is, it's assumed that for CM, anybody who is running frontrunners is using this card. So the gap between the other frontrunners and Maruzensky gets wider when this card releases, and all the other frontrunners start using this card. Valentine's Bourbon, who is the meta frontrunner there, does get to use this card, and that's very nice. Yes, early lead does get reworked. Yeah, it's bad right now. It's bad right now. It gets reworked later and gets better. I'm not sure when that rework happens. I don't know if that's before or after this card comes out. But it does get reworked later. Outside of those, we can talk about other, if I can not click on banners, other characters / cards that are in this period, which we briefly touched on before. There's this banner, which has Fukihitaru, which is a speed card. That's nice for Mant. There's also this banner, which is a speed card that is good for Mant, the Narita Top Road banner. Also, I don't think I mentioned this when we talked about these banners earlier. And I haven't personally verified this, but I trust the document that it was mentioned in. This is the New Year banners. And for New Year's and for first anniversary, which is that Narita Top Road banner, on JP, they gave 100 free pulls. It's 50 pulls on character banner and 50 pulls on support card banner. So that can be helpful in influencing whether you want to pull for one of these 2 speed cards to have for Mant, if you do get particularly lucky, or if you feel like finishing the Spark because you have pulls to do it. That can be an added incentive to pull on either of those banners. I believe as well on JP, which this was mentioned in the KR and Taiwan starter guide. The way that the free pulls worked is if you didn't log into the game at all, it would store the free pulls that you were getting. So it's a daily 10 pull, 5 days on character banner and 5 days on support card banner. If you didn't log into the game at all and logged in on day 6 of the event, it would give you those 50 pulls that should have been on character banner, but for the support card banner. And that way you can get 100 pulls towards support card banner. I don't know if it worked that way as well on the KR and Taiwan versions. It's also 5 to 6 days that you are just not playing the game. So I wouldn't recommend it, but that was something that was mentioned. I don't know if it'll work that way on global. I don't know if it worked that way on Korea and Taiwan, but the Korea and Taiwan starter guide does mention that as well. Those are some of the bigger banners, though. Outside of those, one that I am eyeing that I probably won't have enough pulls for is Dober, because I really like Dober. She's also a good parent for backliners. Her unique is very nice, so that is potentially an option if you do like to play those backline running styles. But when it comes to the meta characters, I would say the big 3 that are in the near future are Summer Marzensky, who again you can make the argument that she does have potentially a limited value cycle or time period where she is valuable to have, just because Bourbon does come and then the card does come and they both contribute to a fall off for her. But Christmas Ogre is very good and stays good for a while. Valentine's Bourbon is also very good and stays good for a while. So they are both characters to definitely eye if you like frontrunners, or if you like Ogre and playing Ogre in whatever style you want to play her as. That's not front, because she's not really great at front. But the other stuff, she's a very versatile character. Those are the big ones in the near future that I would consider looking at and planning pulls for. And then always as well, when it comes to characters, if you like a character and you have the pulls for them and there's not like another support card banner or something that you want to pull for in the near future, pull for them, because it's fun, and training characters that you like is more fun than training characters that are just generally strong if you don't have a personal attachment to them. But I would say you're definitely in a position with what you have right now where you can pretty much just ignore this banner. If you want to pull for it and use your selector ticket from Half Anniversary to grab Creek or something, you can do that, but I would probably just completely ignore this banner and use the Half Annie selector ticket to get your MLB Kita, and then you can look at spending carrots on other characters that you like that are in this time period, or like these support card banners. But again, if you are gonna pull on these banners, before the Kita rerun happens, and around the time where we do get the ticket, hold on to the ticket, do your pulls first, see if you get a Kita from there, and then you can use the ticket on something else. And if you don't get a Kita from one of these banners, if you are gonna pull on it, then you can ticket the Kita, and get your MLB that way. Just so that you don't run into a situation where you ticket the Kita and then immediately pull her afterwards. And then upcoming CM. You have Sei. We talked about Sei a bit earlier. Sei is very nice for this CM if you load her up with mid-race speed skills that let her more consistently compete for the lead. If she's at a good stat line and she's in first as you get into the late race, she gets the full value of her Excel, which is a 0.4 Excel, and she kind of just takes off with that. And because she's a front runner and she already has that lead, nobody should catch up to her. All of the other front runners are dead because you got your acceleration and they didn't. And because the gap between the front and the back liners is big enough, they just don't have enough time to chase you down. The downside to Sei is if she doesn't get her unique, she's dead, which is the same case for all the front runners. But she doesn't have a unique that helps her take the lead, like some of the other front runners, or a unique that helps keep the lead, like other front runners. So somebody like Diva Scarlet or Falco, or we talked about McQueen a little bit. Duty of Dignity calls can help with that as well. Although I don't know if I would recommend trading her as a front runner. Or I guess this triggers later. But she does lack that extra edge to keep the lead, which you just have to make up for with loading her up with mid-game speed skills. And one of those mid-game speed skills is Escape Artist. So if you do want to run Sei for the CM, I would definitely get her to P5, grab Escape Artist. It's a really good skill. You have Tail Held High from P4. You have Front Runner Savvy from P2, which Tail Held High is awesome as a mid-race speed skill. Front Runner Savvy helps you with your wit, and it also is a green that you can get trigger for getting groundwork done. So that's really nice for her. If you do want to run front runners, you want to run at least 2. Other front runners that we have been recommending have been Diva Scarlet. If she takes the lead early into the second half of the race, this helps her keep it and then get Saiyan Sky Unique. If she overtakes towards Spurt instead, she triggers her unique and she gets speed carryover into Spurt, which makes her very strong. But that is a bit of a gamble. So her peaks are inconsistent, I guess, is a good way to put it, dependent on when she triggers this. I really like front L. The downside to L is she starts at E front, so you need front runner sparks to get her to A front. A aptitude for front runners actually matters quite a bit because it doesn't affect your skill proc chances. The way that running style works is it's a wit penalty if you're below A, but it doesn't affect your skill proc chances. It affects the other things that wit influence. One of those things is your target speed throughout the race. And when you're trying to take and keep the lead, actually getting a higher target speed throughout the race matters quite a bit for front runners to be able to keep and compete for lead. So getting her to A front, if you did want to run her as a front runner, is something to prioritize. It's 10 front sparks to get to A for her before career starts, which means you need front sparks on 4 out of the 6 parent-grandparent stuff, which only leaves you 2 characters to get your Mile Sparks on, so it can be hard to get Mile S. You can also shoot for 7 Turf Sparks, which gets you to B, and then that's 3 characters that have Turf, 3 characters that have Mile, and then you hope that you hit both of them during Inspiration throughout the career to get to A Turf and S Mile. That way, and it gives you a slightly higher chance of hitting S Mile, but if you don't hit the A Turf, then it feels really bad. Because you're stuck at B Turf when you could have taken another Turf parent and had the A guaranteed at the start. So she takes a little bit more work to get to that point, but she does seem like a very strong front option. Her unique is a speed and excel that triggers on the final straight if she's in the top 2 and she has enough HP left, which on this track she should. And if you trigger Saiyan Sky Unique on the corner, if we look at Tokyo Race Course 1600 here, you trigger Saiyan Sky Unique here, you go into your spurt, you get the Excel, and then you hit here, and you trigger L Unique, and you get more speed, and you just take off even further. So she's really nice in the same way that Saiyan Sky is, where if you're in first, and you get the Excel here, you kind of take off even further. So that can be very nice as well. Other frontrunners, you can do stuff with Maya. Suzuka, I think, is very nice. She has left-handed, which is the speed green. So it's a green that she starts with, and it's just an extra 60 speed if you double circle it. She has focus and concentration, so in order to trigger groundwork, you need 3 skills that trigger at the start of the race. Ideally, that's 3 green skills, but you can also do 2 green skills and either focus or concentration. The downside to relying on focus or concentration is that's also a wit check, whereas the greens are guaranteed to activate as long as those conditions are met. So there's a chance that you end up missing the wit check, and on those runs where you don't hit focus, then you also don't get groundwork. So to be safer and more consistent, you still would want to shoot for 3 greens, but in the situations where you only get 2, you pick up focus as a backup, and that's totally fine. And hopefully more often than not, which with the wit that you should be getting, it would be more often than not, you do trigger focus. And as long as you trigger focus in the finals, then it's okay. She also has, which this is a question that had come up tonight, which was unrestrained, and I have mixed feelings on it. So Suzuka's fast-paced at potential 4, which this is very nice. It's just a mid-race speed skill that's good. Unrestrained is an excel, which we can pull this up here. It is here, a 0.4 excel that triggers if you're in first and you're a front runner at a random point on the final corner. If here it is. If it triggers here in this area, where either it's slightly before the late race, where it's still, the duration still carries over into here, or after the late race starts, it's a 0.4 excel, so it's very strong. But if it triggers anywhere in like this area, then it's a 0.4 excel that happens when you're already at your target speed and it does nothing. So if you have the skill points for it, and you don't have other mid-race speed skills that you want to buy, it's something you can grab, and if you trigger it in a good position, you take off even more during the spurt. And that's really nice. Or in situations where maybe you're like barely in second place here and you miss out on Say and you do hit unrestrained, you're still getting an excel and then you can potentially catch up. I don't know if it's worth buying over other mid-race speed skills that just help you take and keep the lead for the amount of skill points that it does cost, but it is something that she does have access to as well. Was thinking about 2 front and late direct. Yep, I think that's a very good option. If you run 3 front, you're kind of putting all of your eggs in one basket, and if you run into a blocker or just a really strong front runner that ends up taking the lead, and you don't compete with them, then you don't really have a shot at winning. Whereas if you have, ideally, one really strong front runner that wins the majority of the time, and then a backup that is competitive, and if your really strong front runner, for whatever reason, doesn't take first, hopefully they take first and then win off of it, then having somebody in the back line to be able to still shoot for the win when you do get blocked can be nice. And if we're looking at backliners, Vodka and Grass Wonder are the 2 that I see talked about the most. For both of them, you want to grab their P5. Vodka gets Furious Feet from P5. Grass gets On Your Left from P5. And the backliners are more gambly, so it's kind of in that same situation that we talked about with Unrestrained, but a bit nicer. If we look at here, this is On Your Left. On Your Left is a late race excel if you're a late surger, and it's the late race. It can trigger. You have to be in the back half. Furious Feet doesn't have the late surger requirement on it, but it has the same order rate as On Your Left, so it's basically the same positioning requirement. And it also triggers late race. The hope is, for these ones, unlike Unrestrained, where you hope Unrestrained triggers late into the final corner because these are late race ones, you hope they trigger towards the start of late race. And if they do, they're very big excels, and you close the gap with them. So the hope is that you just hit them, hit the skill at a good time, and you get your excel off that. For the late surgers as well, for uniques, you would want Ryan Unique Inherited, which is if you're in 6th place when you hit late race, you get the 0.2 excel, which is here. If you're in 6th when you hit this point, you get a 0.2 excel. The other option, which I think for late surgers you take both, is Maruzensky Unique, which we can look at. Here, Maruzensky's unique Redshift, which we saw a lot of in Taurus Cup. If you're in the top 5 on the final corner or later, your excel increases. Like Unrestrained, you don't want it to trigger here, but if you're a backliner and it's a very front-runner heavy lobby, which seems like it's going to be the case for Cancer Cup, if you pull into 5th in this area, you're getting full value from it. Even better, if you're in 6th here, you trigger Ryan Unique, you pass a front runner you pull into 5th, you trigger Maruzensky, and you get both of them, and you take off even more. That could be very nice. And passing frontrunners when you do get to late race probably isn't that difficult, because every frontrunner that's not the one that's in first doesn't get an excel. So all of them are kind of just food for your overtake skills, I guess is a way of putting it. But yeah, grass and vodka seem to be 2. You can do stuff with Ogre as well. The downside to Ogre is you can get Furious Feet as a gold excel, which is what vodka gets from P5 from the Ogre SSR power card, which means you can get Furious Feet on somebody like Grass and have both on your left and Furious Feet, or on another backline character, you can get Furious Feet on them. Because it's Ogre, she can't do that, so she loses access to that, but you would still look for those same unique skills. And you can also look for the white versions of on your left and Furious Feet, which are Updrafters and Slick Surge, and go that way. You can also look at end closer stuff for backline, which I think end closers are weaker than late surgers, except for Taishin. I could be wrong on that. But if you did want to do end closer stuff, your options would be Gold Chip again, or Ogre. You can do End Ogre, or you could do End Maya. All of those work. I do not know which of those 3 is the better option if you did want to do End Closer stuff. And I do think late surgers are stronger, so I would recommend doing like a vodka or grass. Or if you did want to run Ogre, I would rather run her as a late surger than an end closer. The thing that end closers do get is straightaway spurt, so it's the exact same situation as Gemini Cup, just not dealing with the Sam. The late race starts here, which is still on a corner, so you get Ryan and Seiyun Sky here. But then it turns into a straight here, and this is where straightaway spurt would trigger. So it's a bit delayed compared to the corner excels, but it's still early enough into the spurt that you do get value from it. With Taishin, you get more value because it's a 0.4 excel compared to the 0.2 of spurt, and you also don't have to deal with getting spurt through inspiration. If you don't want to deal with getting spurt through inspiration, don't run an end closer, just run a late surger. Because without spurt, there's not really a reason to run end closers. And I think that's another reason to just run the late surger, so you don't have to deal with spurt as well. And then the hope is your 2 front runners will win and do well. And in the situations where they get blocked, then your backliner hits their gambling skills and goes away with it. Yeah, Amazon does work. Amazon does work as well. That is true. Because you do actually want to use power cards this time around. But I think that covers... Oh, the other option is... I've seen people talk about Karan-chan pace. I haven't actually looked at it at all. But if that's something you're interested in, if you like Karan-chan, it's an option as well. She starts at D-Mile, which isn't an issue, because you're going to load her up with Mile Sparks anyways to get a Smile. But I have seen people talk about Karan Unique being nice if you can get her to overtake front runners early. But I haven't looked into it much myself because I don't have Karan. On your left, that's what Falcon can... Oh, I'm... I'm not a Marvel guy, unfortunately. Maybe someday. Maybe someday I'll watch Marvel movies more. The last Marvel movie I watched was Civil War. So I got a lot to catch up on. Did you finish Parent Sane Sky? I've gotten really bad luck on White Sparks. It is rough, yeah. The good thing is, we have at least 2 to 3 weeks until CM. So there is still time. And since you do have Say as well, if you do run low on time, assuming you do get a good Say parent, you have the option to just grind out more runs because you're not limited to just borrowing the Say. So that is really nice. For whichever other frontrunner you do want to run. Opinions on Mile Tachyon? I think it's rough. I think Pace Chasers as a whole this CM are really not good. And having a recovery skill on a course where you don't really need recoveries is bad. You could run her in other styles. You could try to... Like, you could ignore her unique and run her as a backliner. As a late surger. I don't see the value in that over just running another late surger unless you really like them. But it is definitely a weaker option, because then you're just not getting a unique. Which I guess... In either case, you don't really need the unique anyways. But when you can take a character that actually does have a good unique as a backliner, that is nicer. And also has other options in their kit that let them excel as a backliner. This helped a lot. I get a better idea. Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think 2 front plus a backliner is really nice. You can either go late surger stuff with either Grass or Vodka or Ogre, or you could look at doing Encloser stuff as well with either Ogre, Gold Ship, or Maya. I like late surgers more, but... Enclosers are always an option too. Can get away with 301 Stam with the Wonder... Me, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't looked at it. It's an idea. I don't know if... It's an idea I would try to execute. But if you really like Tachyon and you want to go for it, do it. I think that'll be it for today. We got through 3. We got to do finals. We will get through more next time, hopefully. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. I'll be live tomorrow, hopefully earlier in the day, because I have sleepy brain right now, I would say. So I'm gonna go to sleep. Because sleep sounds good. Sakrita, thank you for the sub! Oh my gosh! I really appreciate that. I hope you enjoy the emotes. I don't have any Uma emotes, unfortunately. But there's other ones. There are other emotes as well, so hopefully you like them. I appreciate the support. I should be live earlier in the day tomorrow, hopefully. I'm gonna look at doing more account reviews for anybody who does want them. And we'll also look at L parent stuff as well. That's the plan, that's the goal. Now we're full steam ahead on Cancer Cup now that Gemini is done. So that is good, and hopefully we will get good parent stuff done. I think. We'll see. Thanks for watching, thanks for hanging out, I appreciate it. Good night. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Oh, wait. Oh. I'll add it. I'm outdated on my emote game. I'll fix it next time, hopefully, maybe. Have a good night, bye-bye. Bye-bye.